Hey everybody, welcome to Market Psychology 101, where we look for value in the markets when there's fear and are cautious when there's greed. Today we're going to be taking a look at the top altcoins by market cap available on Coinbase. So let's start out by taking a look at the fear and greed index, and we have been high in greed for some time. Bitcoin is having a sell-off on the daily that is playing out right now, so we're going to take a look at some possible price entry points if you believe we are going higher, or some places we can expect it to go if we go lower. But going back to fear and greed, we're in extreme greed anytime we're over 75, and we've been there for a while, peaking at around 90 in early March. However, you can see that we have been in a general uptrend that is not broken yet, really since back here in the middle of 22. Now, this was not the market bottom. The bottom came later in November. That's when the whole FTX bankruptcy happened, as well as the last times we've been up this high. This was not the true top. The true top was more in March of 21 as well as November of 21. And I can show you that right here. So we had a double top. The very, very, very all-time high of Bitcoin was in November. It got up to 69,000 and some change. However, right here, I kind of treat that like the top because a lot of the altcoins that I knew of ran along with Bitcoin here. There were some that topped later. However, a lot of the damage was done here after we broke all-time highs in 2017. This mid-cycle top right here, which got up to somewhere between 12,000, 14,000, this top was 20,000. That mid-cycle top is right here. And what you'll notice is that we didn't spend a lot of time accumulating up there like we did in 2020, early 21, and we had a correction. This was the COVID crash. So in order for me to believe that Bitcoin truly is going higher, and maybe we're going to see Bitcoin get somewhere between 120 and 200K, I would like for greed to stay up in this range for a while, and then maybe the true top comes before the Fed start cutting rates. So taking a look at the rainbow chart, here are my bullish and bearish possibilities. Bearish, as you can see right here, every halving, we move up a buy zone as we go on. So basically a fire sale zone down here, that was the first halving. Second halving, next zone up. Third halving, next zone up. So we got into the yellow, but I've been wondering if we would be down in the still cheap zone, which is, you can see right there, 52,000 to 68,000, somewhere in that range. So maybe we're going to settle in there at the halving. Who knows what's going to happen past then? Maybe not. Maybe this will be the first time we break that trend. My bullish scenario is if we do have a top before the Fed cuts rates, and they've been talking about cutting in June possibly, and I'll show you why that typically can end up being a bearish scenario. If you take a look at some of the orange and red boxes, you can see that orange box starts at around 120,000, and the red boxes, I'm looking at the last time that we topped over in here. Okay, we didn't get up to the very highest red box, but we got to the second one. So the second red box, as you can see, it tops somewhere around 200,000. So that's my price range. I know that's a very big, $80-some thousand price range. But as things, if Bitcoin gets up there by the summer, I would be looking personally to take profits. You do you. Also worth noting is the stocks. The stock market is also in greed or extreme greed, depending on which indicator you look at. So let's take a look at Bitcoin quick. We have a sell signal here on the daily. The weekly is still showing green, and I like to go by the macro on the weekly or monthly more, but we have this long-legged doji. Those can violently move either way. So it is showing green. If we were to move up, something I've noted is that we have this trend line from the peaks that might take us somewhere close to 76,000, the high 70s. However, if this were to go down, then I think it's worth showing you on the daily where my targets are. We've gotten under the 20 moving average. The 50 moving average is here, right around 60. Not a lot of structure to support that. Really, there's a lot of structure here around 52,000 and the 100 moving average, which is right there as well as this fib right here. So maybe we get to the 100. If we go below that, the last line of defense here is the 200, and the 200 is near all this structure back here. So this would be the last line of defense for me that would have to hold. But if we did sell off even to the 100, we might have some good price points to buy in. So do pay attention to Bitcoin. Altcoins go the way Bitcoin goes. And another couple things worth noting before we get into the altcoins is Bitcoin dominance. Something I've shared before is when Bitcoin dominance tanks, and you can take a look at the dates at the bottom, that's when alt season goes off. And altcoins, not all of them, but a lot of them can go 5, 10, 20, even 50x out of nowhere. Some don't go back to their all-time high. Some do and break it in a big way. You can see the dates at the bottom. The end of December 2017, early January is about 2 weeks where things just went nuts. And same here. This was about 6 weeks. So I'm taking a look at this trend line in Bitcoin dominance. Should we get up here in the high 50s? That maybe, if it does crash again, crash down, that's when the altcoins would run. So take a look at that. Again, I'm looking at a 2 week to a 2 month window and looking to take profits in there as well. One other thing I'm watching is the tether dominance. And if you don't know what dominance means, so Bitcoin dominance is the overall percentage of money in crypto that's in Bitcoin. Right now it's at 53%. The tether dominance is at 4.5%. And something, let's take off the moving averages. Something I've been watching is the relative strength index. And on the weekly, we are down here. And when we had that first Bitcoin top and that double top I showed you in 2021, once we crossed the 50 on the RSI, that's when things sold off and Bitcoin corrected 50% or so from that new all-time high. So I do want to see tether dominance stay on this trend line. This does signal tops before it dumps, like the top before COVID, that 2019 mid-cycle top, 2017, both the tops in 2021. So RSI can violently shoot up real quick, and maybe this is just a mid-cycle top like 2019, or if this takes a while, maybe 3-4 months until the first Fed rate cuts, and as the first rate cuts come in June or July, maybe we get near the 50 line and maybe we get an early top. So we will see. Try not to get too much into the prediction game. Again, just increase your time in the market, not try to time the market so you can dollar cost average in and get more value on your investments. That's the goal of my channel. Try to calm expectations when things are overheated and teach people how to remove their bias from the market. So I try not to have a bullish or bearish outlook or get too religiously or tribally into certain narratives. I just try to take what the market gives me and go from there. So let's take a look at our first altcoin by market cap, and that is Ethereum. You can see on the weekly it got up to the 786. Now it's down to the 618, and it is overbought. However, you can see other times it's been overbought before. I mean, look how low it was when it was overbought in a similar range and still went much, much higher. So something important to know with Ethereum is its market cap. It has a $400 billion market cap. Do consider that the top stocks in the world, things like Amazon, Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, they have between a $1 to $3 trillion market cap. So realistically, best case scenario for Ethereum, I could see maybe $1.5 trillion at best. And if you take 1.5, or heck, this is 400 billion right now. Let's just say it does a 4x and gets to 1.6 trillion. I'll even give you that. That would mean Ethereum, you can multiply this times 4, and it would get at around 13,000, 12 to 13,000. A lot of people have been saying 10,000. That'd be around a 3x. So I could buy that and just temper expectations. Sometimes on YouTube, TikTok, people put out crazy predictions. a couple things you can do to see where you might be able to get into Ethereum, some places to buy. So you see on the weekly, we have red. We don't have a confirmed sell signal yet, but maybe it's going to come down to this 0.5 fib, hit that 10 moving average. That could be a possibility. I want to take off RSI here, and because we're going down, that's when I start to throw on the moving averages. So right now you see we're on the weekly. That happens when I click the 5 here, and here are some moving averages to look for. So the 10, the 20s, 50, 100, 200. I don't think it would get back down here, but if it did, it's near that lower fib as well. Looking on the daily, what do we notice? So it's settling right here on this fib at a buy signal, sell signal. So maybe it's coming down to this 50. However, as I noted with Bitcoin, not a lot of structure here. This 100 moving average to me looks like a better area for support, and that is right around the 0.5 fib. So maybe most bearish case scenario, we could see Ethereum play down to the 2,900 level, somewhere in there. That's what I'm looking for. So something to keep a lookout for. Next, let's go to Link. And Link, same thing. So daily, look at that long-legged doji there. It looks like it wants to test that 100 again and maybe go down to the 200. If we zoom out to the weekly, you can see here, look at how this wicked right down. This is when the fib is not on log scale, but a wick down to the 236 at the 16 price, maybe very briefly. But hold on, before I do that, something you can do when you draw your fibs to see possible price predictions or places maybe you could take profit. When you draw your fib from the prior high to the next lows, and don't put it on log scale yet in the settings, you can see where the 1618, the 2618, all those are. So again, also bear in mind market cap. Link has a $10 billion market cap. If you wanted to do a 10x, you believe it'd be worth 100 billion, and that this would be worth 180. And you can see the 3618 is at 180. Does not mean it has to do with 10x. And guys, these would be my absolute best case scenarios. I'm more than happy to take profit at these levels. And full disclosure, I do have some Link. So between the 180 and the 208, that's my best case scenario, but I'm not going to miss profits here. Okay, so that's one way you can look at areas to take profits, and there's no guarantee. Last time around, there were altcoins from the 2017 bull run that did not create new all-time highs in 2021. So keep that in mind. Some altcoins are just going to top out between the 0.5 and the 786, even in the most bullish scenario. When we take a look at the fib on log scale, so you click the settings, go to log, to me, I like this more when we're looking between the highs and lows. What do we notice? We are on the 0.5 right here. So is the 20. So this seems like very strong support to me. I wouldn't mind getting Link in here on a turnaround with a buy signal on the weekly, something I'm looking for. If we did have a bigger sell-off, you can see we have the 50 and the 100 right around here at the 12, but not a lot supporting it other than that fib. So if we got through the 200 on the weekly, that's looking bad. So anyways, I would be looking at this most realistically 16, but if it gets through there, then maybe 12 in the most bearish. And I'll just keep taking a look at possible re-entry points to buy more. Again, I'm not going to buy just the sell signal on the weekly. I want confirmation, a buy. If you want to get in front of it, something you can do is go to the daily, and sometimes you can see that before the weekly flips green, you'll see the daily start flipping green. It'll have a lot more green, or maybe start chopping around, accumulating. But do know that can go either way, up or down. Next, let's take a look at AVAX. Change this over to crypto. So AVAX, and again, let's take a look at the weekly here. So we're going to take our scale, take it on log. If you want to look at some of those bigger price predictions, again, go to the settings for your fib from the high to the low. Click the settings, make sure it's off log, and you'll see a lot more fib extensions to look at. So this one, it doesn't say the the market cap. Let's go over here and find AVAX, Avalanche, and it has a $20 billion market cap. So a 5X is $100 billion. And for the best performing altcoins, that's what I'm looking at, somewhere in the $100 to $200 billion market cap. Realistically, even Doge last time, it got to around 100 billion. Some of these other ones, Cardano, XRP, again, that's my best case scenario next time around. But make your own predictions. If you believe things can go to $500 billion, then sure, make those your price targets. So AVAX looking good, looking green. This has had a stronger looking chart than others that have been selling off. If we go to the daily, there is some weakness coming in, and this fib support right around 50 left to hold. Otherwise, we could be falling through. And if it does, and we get a daily, and then this would flash a weekly sell signal if we got underneath here. But if we get a weekly buy signal and we're down here, that might be a good entry point to get back in on some AVAX. So just remember, guys, technical analysis and these indicators, it's just extra tools in your tool belt. They aren't everything, and they aren't a 100% guarantee that that's where the bottom's going to be. Sometimes you're going to get buy signals here, and then things can still go lower. So take your own risks and do keep that in mind. Next, let's take a look at Ripple. And so XRP, Ripple, let's just take a look at these on the weekly and put the fibs on log scale. And Ripple, so right here it is at this 382 fib that is so far holding. You can see a lot of moving averages here. So this may be some very strong area for support. You can see as Ripple has gone down to this 200 moving average. Let me lighten that up for you. The 200. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong one. Sorry. So here's what I got to do. So you go to the indicator, click on the settings. We take this, we're going to pump up the brightness and make that thicker. So you can see it's been bouncing off this 200 moving average before, closer to the fib, and we got some good weekly buy signals down there. So maybe this is going to do this again, as it's done twice before, and you can take a look at buy near there, somewhere in the low 50s, if you like Ripple. Again, keep in mind, its market cap for Ripple, it has a $33 billion market cap. So 100 billion would be a 3x, 200 billion would be a 6x. To me, that is most realistic. When people are talking about $100 Ripple, I don't believe that whatsoever, because the market cap would then turn into something extremely ridiculous, bigger than any stock out there. That's not going to happen. Maybe at best you could see like an 8, 9x, somewhere around 5, maybe upwards $10 Ripple. So that would be absolute best case scenario, but I personally don't see it. Next, let's take a look at Solana. All right, cool. And so Solana, this has been a stronger altcoin as of late. And something I've been wondering about is Solana, last time when it went from this 10 and a little bit lower dollar range up to 25. Actually, no, it's here. Sorry. When it went from this $20 range after accumulation up to the $100 range, Solana kind of led the charge for many other alts, such as Link, AVAX, and others. So I am wondering if Solana is showing us again that prices and altcoins are about to run up again. It's done it before. You can see this move isn't as big as the last one. This one, if we just kind of go from the center here, was around 370%. And the current move from that area, it's been around 80%. So quite a bit lower of a move. If we go to the daily, we can see there is some red, and right now it's holding above the 20, but maybe it gets back down here to the fib. We have some support. This kind of reminds me more of what we just saw with Avalanche, AVAX, and maybe by that time it meets 100 MA and goes as low as 123. The 50 is around 137. So again, I'm not going to just buy the red sell signals. I want to wait for a turnaround, confirmation, me personally, some good structure, fib support, even accumulation to get back in. So next, let's take a look at Cardano. And for Cardano, what do we got here? Well, let's take this fib, put it on the log scale. Again, I take it off log to look at possible price targets above its prior all-time high. Here, Cardano has a weekly sell signal. You see we have the 20s and the 100, and the 50 and the 200 are down here. So that's what happens when price flips around so quick. And last time it had a buy signal, the body was on that 100. So maybe it's going to come back down to that 100, somewhere between the 100 and 120. That's between 0.51 and 0.55. It had a nice strong wick on this fib right here. I believe that's, yep, the 382. So Cardano, maybe it sells off again for a little bit. This one, we sold off wick to wick 30%. So if we had something similar, where would that put us? Well, 25, 26% is near those moving averages. 30% is down to the 200. So you can see we had this wick right at the 200, and the 200 is at 0.46. So some possible areas, but again, I want confirmation. I want to see the RSI starting to curl up. And right now, we're still in a bull trend, so maybe you can still get some value on these pullbacks. Next, let's take a look at MATIC. Actually, before I do that, I'm curious, what's the market cap of Cardano? So 22 billion, 5x is around 100 billion, 10x is about 200 billion. So I would be taking a look between there as best case scenarios. Again, not saying it will go there, but absolute best case scenarios. MATIC, kind of similar chart right here. You can see we just got a weekly sell signal, and we have this 200 MA coming up to this fib level at the 382. And as we zoom out, yeah, a lot of structure here around the 382 back in both these areas. So maybe we're going to get a wick down to this 200 MA. You can see here we were closing, staying above this trend line. We have a lot of moving average support, so maybe we don't get back there. Maybe these moving averages kind of come up to the 0.5 and we just stay up here. So I would like to see MATIC get a turnaround buy signal pretty soon, and maybe it accumulates up here. That way we have higher lows. But again, maybe it gets down to somewhere. You can see this 100 moving average is a possibility, something like the mid 80s. Otherwise, 96 cents, pretty close to where it is now. So on the daily, you can see we sold off and we are right on that fib. So it's trying to hold. And the reason these moving averages change, remember, we're looking at the moving averages on the daily, not the weekly. So the daily to me kind of shows a little bit more of what to watch for. And maybe kind of like we did back here, bounce around between these fibs, we might be starting something like that up here. So might be a good time to buy. I'd say watch the daily and see if we get some green, some turnaround. Maybe you can get in front of this one. Next, let's take a look at DOT, and I have to change this fib to log scale, make it look a little bit better for us. And underneath that 382, which isn't good. So far, we do have higher lows, and I want to keep it at higher lows. Even if it got down to the 236, we would still technically have higher lows, and that would be fine. Right now, it's on that 100 moving average. Yes, the 100 moving average. And if we zoom in on the daily, you can see it's at the 50. So maybe it gets down to the, oh, look at that. It got down to the 100 moving average here. It recognized that one more, but it did wick down to the 200. So if you like MATIC a lot and it gets under the 100, if you're feeling aggressive, maybe you buy some when it's down here. But again, I like confirmation and turnaround. And, you know, sure, maybe you set a buy target somewhere above the 200, around 7.3. However, it is possible bad things happen and we just blow through it. So I like confirmation, and you're really not getting too worse of a price here. if you did wait for it to come up a little bit, just to confirm that we're staying bullish. So the 100 is at around $8-ish right now. And last one, let's take a look at ICP, and maybe I'll do a bonus one too. So ICP, you can see on the daily, we have a little bit of a turnaround on that 100, which is holding strong. On the weekly, we're staying above this 236 fib and these 20 moving averages right here. I believe those are the 20s. So yeah, it has to stay above this 9.5 for me to stay bullish. We have the 200 down here, but you can see the 100's holding strong. So maybe not the worst time to get some ICP right now on the daily. Maybe we are front running some possible buy signal turnaround. So some chopping here, some accumulation, that could be good. Lastly, let's take a look at Fetch, because I know Fetch was one of the craziest cryptos that we've had to look at. And I've noted before that here are some fib extensions to look for. You can see we got up to that 2618 at around $3. Came back down pretty good. If we zoom in, let's go to the last 3 months and look at this a little better. So got right up to that fib, came down as low as 215 after being up to 3. So right now this thing's getting bigger, and it does look like it wants to come down to this fib right here. And there is some structure here around $1.91. Now, me personally, I am not buying Fetch right now. We're at yearly highs, and this thing has already ran up over 1,000% since we're talking the end of October. Guys, that is crazy. The best stocks in the world run up somewhere like 20 to 80% per year. So I would be careful on buying in cryptos like this now. Not to say that they can't go up a lot more. And something going for Fetch that you could say in the most bullish scenarios is its market cap. It's a $2 billion market cap. And if this is one of the few chosen altcoins, sure, maybe it becomes the Doge of last time where this gets near 100 billion and does the 50x. Why not? I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't want to promise that's going to happen. However, I am not buying in on those altcoins that were at yearly highs. This is again why I say I look at the macros, the weekly, the monthly, increase my time in the market instead of trying to time the market. And you could have been getting Fetch at around 8 cents back here, or even 20 cents back here. Heck, even 60 cents, and could have done a 5x. So Fetch, I'm staying away from it. Not saying it's not a great crypto, but there's plenty of cryptos out there that still have not gone as parabolic as Fetch has. You can even consider something like IMX, and look at this one as a weekly sell signal, and maybe you'll get better value out of something like that rather than something that's already broken prior all-time highs and is already running up. So do your own research. If you're brand new to crypto, pick out 4 of them that you've heard about. Do your research. And if you like them, you believe in them, then what I'm trying to show here on this channel is areas where you can increase the value of your investment and ways to look at the charts. So you're not just buying into the good news, buying into the pumps, all that, buying into the greed. We're trying to buy after things sell off a little bit and correct, and when things are oversold on the RSI, so we can increase the value of our investments, take the stress out of investing as well. And just as far as crypto goes, compared to stock investments, crypto can be extremely volatile and go Bitcoin, altcoins, some of them can go between 5x and 50x inside of a year. Anything that does that, I'm looking to take profits on. Yes, you could have bought Bitcoin back here and just held. However, realistically, I'm not looking for Bitcoin to get anywhere really too high above the $200,000 range. Even if you believe in the 4-year cycle and that Bitcoin's topping later in 2025, let's say we had the true top here around November. So let's go to October 25. That would be between 200 and 300,000 Bitcoin at best, in my opinion. So I'm not buying into the $500,000 Bitcoin, 500K, anything like that. I'm trying to be realistic because as we've seen with Bitcoin before, it's still very volatile. You know, going up from 20,000 to 3,500 to 14,000 to 34,000 to 65,000, 30,000, nearly 70,000, 16,000, and most recently a little bit around 74,000, something like that. So it's still very volatile. And if we get up in these peaks, these reddish areas, me personally, I'm looking to take profits because these sell-offs can happen quick and be so brutal. As you can see, we don't stay at the top for long. And when we do sell off, I'm telling you, even within a month, the altcoins can sell off 80%. So I rather sell as we're going into these top ranges rather than waiting, and then seeing it die. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the video, that your week is going well. And if you're betting on or watching March Madness, that your brackets aren't getting destroyed too bad. Screw you, Kentucky. Thanks for ruining mine. So anyways, hope you guys are well. Enjoy the weekend. Hope you're enjoying the video. I'll do my stock analysis video later, talk about earnings reports for this week, take a look at some factors in the stock market overall, see if there's any stocks that might have some good value. And guys, with my crypto money, I do look at it as a way to take some profits from this market and roll it over into the stock market, some safer long-term plays. That's me personally, not financial advice for you, but some possible ways of looking at it. Instead of using profits to buy a depreciating asset like a car, a Lambo, a Corvette, or anything like that, when you're able to make really good money, 10x, 20x, make that money work for you and use it to your advantage. So hope you are all doing well. Take care. Bye-bye.